Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Podcast Zone. I'm Emma, and today we are super excited because this is episode 8 of our English Learning Podcast series.
And I'm David. Thank you for joining us again. If you've been listening since episode 1, you already know we love helping you improve your English step by step. And if this is your very first time listening, welcome. You are in the right place to practice real English with real conversations.
Exactly. Today's topic is something very close to everyone's life: daily routines. We all have them: waking up, brushing our teeth, going to school or work, eating, relaxing, and sleeping. These little habits make up our days, and they're also some of the most useful things you can talk about in English.
Yes, and here's the great news. When you talk about daily routines, you practice the present simple tense. You use time expressions, and you learn everyday vocabulary. All of these are essential for English learners.
So today, we're going to make this podcast super practical. We'll share our own routines, compare them, teach you new words and phrases, and even give you small challenges. And of course, we'll slow down sometimes so you can repeat after us and practice your pronunciation.
Sounds perfect. So sit back, relax, or maybe walk while listening. Because yes, some people like to listen to podcasts during their routine too. Let's begin with the morning.
All right, David, let's start simple. What time do you usually wake up in the morning?
Well, Emma, I usually wake up at 6:30 a.m. on weekdays. The alarm rings, and honestly, I don't always want to get up immediately. Sometimes I press the snooze button once or twice. How about you?
I'm the same. I usually wake up at 7 a.m., but I admit I sometimes stay in bed scrolling on my phone for 10 minutes. It's not the healthiest habit, but I'm working on it.
That's very real, and listeners, here's your first useful phrase. Wake up means when you open your eyes, and get up means when you actually leave the bed. They are different. For example, I wake up at 7, but I get up at 7:15.
Good point. Okay, after you get up, what's next for you, David?
First, I go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, and wash my face. I also like to take a shower in the morning because it helps me feel fresh and ready for the day. What about you, Emma?
I usually shower in the evening, so in the morning, I just brush my teeth and wash my face. After that, I drink a big glass of water. It's a small habit, but it makes me feel more awake.
Nice! Listeners, notice how Emma said I usually shower in the evening. She used the word usually. That's called an adverb of frequency. We use these to talk about how often we do things. Always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, never.
Exactly. For example, I always brush my teeth in the morning. I usually drink coffee. I sometimes eat breakfast late. I never skip brushing my teeth.
I hope you never skip brushing your teeth, Emma.
Never. Hygiene first. Now let's move to one of my favorite parts of the morning: breakfast. What do you usually have for breakfast?
On a typical day, I eat oatmeal with some fruit, like banana or blueberries. And of course, I drink coffee. Without coffee, my brain doesn't work properly. How about you?
I usually eat eggs and toast, and sometimes I add avocado if I have it at home. And yes, coffee too. But on weekends, I like to make a big breakfast with pancakes.
That sounds delicious. Listeners, here are some useful breakfast words: cereal, toast, butter, jam, eggs, fried, boiled, scrambled, pancakes, juice, tea, coffee.
Exactly. And you can make simple sentences with these words. I usually eat cereal for breakfast. I sometimes drink juice. I never eat pancakes on weekdays.
Okay, David, let's do a mini practice with our listeners. Repeat after me. I wake up at 7 o'clock. I get up at 7:15. I brush my teeth. I wash my face. I eat breakfast.
David, slowly. Now with adverbs of frequency. I always brush my teeth. I usually drink coffee. I sometimes eat eggs. I never skip breakfast.
Great job, everyone.
Okay, so after breakfast, what do you usually do next, Emma?
On weekdays, I usually leave the house around 8:30. I take the bus to work. The bus ride takes about 30 minutes, so I often listen to podcasts or read a book on the way.
That's a good idea. I usually drive to work. It takes about 20 minutes if the traffic is not too bad. Sometimes I listen to music and sometimes I listen to English learning podcasts, like this one.
Yes, exactly. And listeners, notice two new verbs, take the bus, drive to work. Both are very useful when describing your morning routine.
Also, you can say walk to school, ride a bike, or take the train.
Right. Let's give some example sentences. I take the bus to work every day. She drives to the office in the morning. They walk to school because it's close.
Now, Emma, I want to ask, when you lived in Spain, what were mornings like there compared to here?
Great question. In Spain, people often have a very light breakfast, maybe just coffee and a small pastry. Later, around 11 a.m., they have another snack, almost like a second breakfast. That was different for me because I was used to eating more in the morning.
Interesting. In Japan, I learned that some people eat rice, miso soup, and fish for breakfast. That's very different from toast and cereal.
Exactly. So remember, routines can be very cultural, but the English words are flexible. You can describe any routine.
Okay, listeners, a quick quiz. I'll say a sentence, and you decide if it's correct or not. I wake up and immediately brush my teeth in the kitchen. I usually take the bus to school. I eat breakfast in the evening. Let's check the answers. Not correct. We usually brush our teeth in the bathroom, not in the kitchen. Correct. I usually take the bus to school. That's a good sentence. Not correct. Breakfast is in the morning. Well done if you got them right. So listeners, that was the morning routine. We covered waking up, getting ready, eating breakfast, and going to work or school.
In the next part, we'll move into the afternoon routine. But before that, let's review and practice a bit more.
I wake up at 7 o'clock.
I get up and brush my teeth.
I usually eat breakfast.
I sometimes drink juice.
I never forget my coffee.
Excellent. Try to make your own sentences now. Even if you're speaking alone, say them out loud. It helps you remember.
All right, friends, that's the end of part 1 of our episode. Stay with us because in part 2, we'll dive into afternoon routines, lunch, work, studies, and more.
Yes, and remember, learning English is just like building a daily routine. Small steps, every day, make a big difference.
See you in the next part. Welcome back, everyone. This is the English Podcast Zone, episode 8, and you're listening to part 2 of our special episode on daily routines.
Yes, hello again. In part 1, we talked about mornings, waking up, brushing teeth, eating breakfast, and getting to work or school. Today, we're moving into the afternoon.
That's right. The afternoon is such an important part of the day. It's when people are usually working, studying, or running errands. And it's also when we eat lunch, which for many people is the biggest meal of the day.
Exactly. And listeners, by the end of this part, you'll learn vocabulary for afternoon activities, how to use adverbs of frequency in natural sentences, some cultural differences about lunch and work around the world, and, of course, we'll practice with you.
So, Emma, let's start with lunch. What do you usually eat for lunch?
Well, on weekdays, I usually bring lunch from home. Something simple, like a salad with chicken or maybe a sandwich. I try to eat something healthy, but also quick because I don't have much time.
That's smart. I usually go out for lunch near my office. There are a few restaurants, and I sometimes eat rice and vegetables, sometimes pasta. But honestly, I often eat too fast because I have to get back to work.
Yes, I know that feeling. And listeners, notice the words we're using, usually, sometimes, often. These are adverbs of frequency. They tell us how often something happens.
Exactly. For example, I usually bring lunch from home. I sometimes eat at a restaurant. I often eat too fast. Okay, quick practice for you listeners. I usually eat lunch at 1 o'clock. I sometimes eat a sandwich. I often drink water with my meal. All right, let's move to work and study routines. Emma, what's your typical afternoon at work like?
After lunch, I usually check my emails. Then I have meetings or I prepare lessons. I often work on lesson plans or record videos for my students. Sometimes I also correct homework.
That sounds busy. For me, in the afternoon, I usually write reports or prepare presentations. I sometimes meet with colleagues. If I'm lucky, I take a short break and have a coffee.
That's important. Breaks help you focus better.
Yes. And listeners, here are some useful phrases for talking about afternoons. Do homework, study English, work on a project, check emails, have a meeting, take a break.
Let's make some example sentences. I usually do my homework in the afternoon. She often has a meeting after lunch. We sometimes take a break at 3 p.m.
I usually study in the afternoon. I sometimes meet my friends after school. I often take a short break. I never sleep at my desk.
Never sleep at your desk, please. That's not a good idea.
Now, not everyone spends the whole afternoon at work or school. Some people run errands. Do you know what run errands means, David?
Yes, it means doing small tasks outside, like shopping, going to the bank, or picking up something from the store.
Exactly. For example, I sometimes run errands in the afternoon. I go shopping for groceries or buy some medicine at the pharmacy.
Good example. I usually run errands on weekends, but sometimes during the week I go to the post office or the supermarket.
So, listeners, new vocabulary. Run errands, go shopping, buy groceries, go to the bank, go to the post office. Emma, do you remember when we lived in Spain? Lunch there was very different.
Yes, in Spain, lunch is usually later, around 2 or even 3 in the afternoon, and it's the biggest meal of the day, sometimes with 3 courses.
Right. And in many Asian countries like China or Japan, people often eat lunch at work or school cafeterias. The meals can be rice, noodles, or soup.
In the US or the UK, lunch is often quicker, like a sandwich, salad, or fast food. So it really depends on the culture.
Okay, let's do a quick role play, Emma. I'll be a student and you'll be a teacher. Ready?
Ready.
Hi, teacher. What do you usually do after lunch?
After lunch, I usually correct homework and prepare lessons. What about you?
I usually do my homework, but sometimes I play video games.
That's okay, but don't forget, homework first, games later.
Yes, teacher.
That was fun. Listeners, you can try role-playing too. Pretend you are a student, a worker, or a teacher, and practice talking about your afternoon.
Okay, another quick quiz. I'll say 3 sentences. Which one is strange? I usually take a break in the afternoon. I sometimes eat lunch at 2 p.m. I always sleep at the office for 3 hours.
Number 3 is strange. Sleeping at the office for 3 hours is not a normal routine. Maybe a short nap, yes, but not 3 hours.
Exactly. Number 1 and 2 are fine. I usually eat lunch at noon. I sometimes go shopping in the afternoon. I often check my emails after lunch. I never eat lunch at midnight.
Perfect. Now try to make your own sentences. For example, I usually, pause. I sometimes, pause.
Before we finish this part, let's quickly review grammar. Adverbs of frequency go before the main verb, but after the verb to be.
Examples. I always eat lunch at 1 o'clock. She usually studies in the afternoon. We sometimes go shopping. He is often late for meetings.
And don't forget, I never skip lunch. They are always hungry at 2 p.m. Okay, let's wrap up. Today we talked about lunch, work, study, errands, and cultural differences.
Yes, and we practiced using adverbs of frequency in real sentences.
So listeners, your homework is try to describe your afternoon routine in English. Record yourself if you can.
And remember, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes, just like your daily routine.
In part 3, we'll move into the evening routine: cooking dinner, relaxing, hobbies, and bedtime.
See you there.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the English Podcast Zone, Episode 8, and this is Part 3 of our special episode about daily routines.
Yes, hello again. So far, we've covered morning routines in Part 1, afternoon routines in Part 2, and now we move into the evening.
That's right. The evening is such an important time of day. It's when people finish work or school, relax, spend time with family, eat dinner, enjoy hobbies, and finally get ready for bed.
And for English learners, this part is great because you'll learn lots of everyday vocabulary, time expressions like at night and before bed, and how to talk about your evening activities in clear, simple sentences.
So let's get started with the question we always ask. David, what do you usually do in the evening? Well, after work, I usually get home around 6:30. Then I cook dinner. Sometimes I cook something simple, like pasta or stir-fry. Other times I order food if I'm too tired.
That sounds nice. For me, I usually eat dinner at 7. I like to cook vegetables, maybe fish or chicken, and sometimes rice. But I also enjoy eating out once or twice a week.
Yes, going out for dinner is a treat. And listeners, here's some useful dinner vocabulary. Cook dinner, eat dinner, set the table, wash the dishes, order food, or take out.
Good. And let's make example sentences. I usually cook dinner at home. She sometimes eats out at a restaurant. We always wash the dishes after dinner.
I cook dinner at home. I eat dinner at 7 o'clock. I sometimes order food. I always wash the dishes.
Excellent. Nice, clear sentences. Now, after dinner, many people spend time with family or just relax. Emma, what about you?
After dinner, I usually spend about an hour with my family. We talk, watch some TV together, or just relax in the living room. Sometimes I call my friends.
That's lovely. I often watch TV after dinner, maybe a series or a movie, but sometimes I read a book instead.
Great examples. Listeners, here's some evening vocabulary. Watch TV, read a book, listen to music, talk with family, call a friend, relax on the sofa.
And remember to use adverbs of frequency. I usually watch TV in the evening. She sometimes reads before bed. We often talk with our family after dinner.
Okay, David, let's do a role play. I'll be a friend and you'll invite me to spend the evening together.
All right. Hi, Emma. What are you doing tonight?
Not much. I usually watch TV, but maybe I'll read a book.
Why don't we go out for dinner?
That sounds great. What time?
Let's meet at 7:30.
Perfect. See you then.
Ha, easy and natural. Listeners, you can try role-playing too, with a friend or even just by yourself.
Now let's talk about hobbies. Some people exercise in the evening, some people play sports, practice music, or do creative activities.
Yes. For example, I sometimes go jogging in the park after dinner. It helps me relax and stay healthy.
That's great. I sometimes do yoga in the evening. It's calming before bed.
Nice. Listeners, here are some hobby words. Exercise or workout, go jogging, play guitar or another instrument, paint or draw, play video games, cook as a hobby, practice English.
Yes, don't forget, studying English can be part of your evening routine too. Even listening to this podcast counts as practice. I usually exercise in the evening. I sometimes play video games. I often listen to music at night. I never go jogging before bed.
Perfect. Remember, it's okay if your evening is different. Just use the same sentence structures to describe it.
Now, let's move to the last part of the day, getting ready for bed. What's your night routine, David?
Well, I usually go to bed around 11 p.m. Before bed, I brush my teeth, wash my face, and sometimes read a little. I try not to look at my phone too much because the light makes it harder to sleep.
That's very true. I also usually read before bed or I write in my journal. It helps me relax.
Good ideas. And listeners, here's bedtime vocabulary. Brush your teeth, wash your face, put on pajamas, read before bed, go to sleep, fall asleep. Example sentences. I usually brush my teeth before bed. She sometimes reads a book at night. We always go to sleep before midnight.
I brush my teeth before bed. I put on my pajamas. I usually read before sleeping. I go to bed at 11 o'clock. Emma, in Spain, people often eat dinner late, sometimes at 9 or 10 p.m. That surprised me when I lived there.
Yes, and in many Asian countries, people often have family dinners together every night. In the US and UK, some people eat earlier, around 6 or 7 p.m. So routines really change depending on where you live.
Okay, time for a quiz. Which of these sentences is strange? I usually brush my teeth before bed. I sometimes wear pajamas to sleep. I always eat dinner at midnight.
Number 3 is strange. Midnight dinner is not a usual routine.
Exactly. 1 and 2 are fine. I usually eat dinner at 7. I sometimes watch TV in the evening. I often read before bed. I never forget to brush my teeth.
Perfect. Try saying your own sentences now.
So, today we talked about dinner, family time, relaxation, hobbies, and bedtime.
Yes, and we practice lots of useful vocabulary and time expressions for the evening.
Listeners, your homework is record yourself describing your evening routine. Try to use at least 5 adverbs of frequency.
And remember, consistency is key. Just like brushing your teeth, practicing English every day becomes a habit.
See you in part 4. Welcome back, dear listeners. You're tuned in to the English Podcast Zone, Episode 8, and this is our final part of today's topic, daily routines.
Yes, in part 1, we talked about mornings. In part 2, we covered afternoons. And in part 3, we focused on evenings. Now, in this last section, we'll explore weekends and free time.
Weekends are different from weekdays. We don't usually have work or school, so people have more free time to relax, enjoy hobbies, or spend time with family and friends.
And for English learners, this is great practice because when you talk to new people in English, you often ask, "What do you usually do on weekends?"
So, David, what do you usually do on weekends?
Good question. On Saturdays, I usually sleep in a little later, not too late, maybe until 8:30 or 9. Then I often go shopping for groceries. In the afternoon, I sometimes meet friends or go for a walk in the park. On Sundays, I usually relax at home, maybe read a book or watch a movie.
That sounds nice. For me, weekends are a mix of relaxing and being active. I usually sleep in too. Then I often do some housework, like cleaning or laundry. But I also like to meet friends for coffee. On Sunday evenings, I usually prepare for the new week, plan lessons, check my schedule, and get ready.
So listeners, notice how we used adverbs of frequency again. Usually, often, sometimes. These are perfect for describing weekend habits.
I usually sleep in on weekends. I often go shopping on Saturday. I sometimes meet friends on Sunday. I usually relax at home.
Good job. Try to say your own weekend sentences, too.
Here are some common weekend activities. Sleep in. Go shopping. Clean the house. Do the laundry. Meet friends. Visit family. Go out for dinner. Watch a movie. Travel. Take a short trip.
Great list. Example sentences. I usually do the laundry on Saturday. She sometimes visits her grandparents on Sunday. They often go out for dinner on the weekend.
All right, let's do another role play. David, let's pretend we're planning the weekend together.
Okay, let's go.
Hi, David. What are you doing this weekend?
I don't have big plans. I'll probably sleep in on Saturday morning. What about you?
I'm free on Sunday afternoon. Do you want to watch a movie together?
Sounds good. What time?
Let's meet at 3 p.m.
Perfect. See you Sunday.
Nice and easy. Listeners, you can try the same with a friend or practice along by pretending. Emma, weekends look different depending on where you live. For example, In many Western countries, the weekend is Saturday and Sunday, but in some Middle Eastern countries, the weekend can be Friday and Saturday.
Yes, exactly. And in Japan, many students have school activities or club meetings on Saturdays, so weekends aren't always totally free.
In Europe, people often travel for short weekend trips to other cities. Cheap trains or flights make it easy.
So remember, routines change depending on culture, but you can always describe them in English.
I usually meet my friends on Saturday. I often relax on Sunday. I sometimes take short trips on weekends. I never go to work on Sunday.
Excellent. Okay, quick quiz for you. Which sentence is strange? I usually sleep in on Saturday. I often do my homework on Sunday. I always go to school on Sunday morning.
Number 3 is strange for most countries. Sunday is usually not a school day.
Correct. Unless you live somewhere with different schedules.
Now let's talk about free time in general. What do people usually do in their free time, David?
Lots of things. Some common ones are watch movies or series, read books, listen to music, exercise or play sports, cook, go for a walk, spend time online, social media, games, etc.
Yes. For example, I usually listen to music in my free time. I sometimes go for a walk. I often read a book.
And listeners, you can use the same sentence structures. Free time activities are easy to talk about in English.
Emma, slowly. Repeat after me. I usually watch movies in my free time. I often listen to music. I sometimes go jogging. I never get bored on weekends.
Great! Keep practicing with your own hobbies.
David, shall we tell a little story about a weekend trip?
Yes, let's do it. I'll start. Last weekend, I went on a short trip to the mountains. On Saturday morning, I packed my bag and took the train. In the afternoon, I went hiking with friends. In the evening, we cooked dinner together.
On Sunday morning, we watched the sunrise. It was beautiful. Then we had breakfast and walked in the forest. In the afternoon, we returned home. It was a perfect weekend trip.
Listeners, notice how we used the past tense here because we were telling a story about last weekend. But when you describe your regular routines, you use the present simple.
All right, dear listeners, we've reached the end of today's big episode about daily routines.
Yes, we talked about mornings, afternoons, evenings, and weekends. We learned vocabulary, grammar, and practiced lots of useful sentences.
Your final homework is record yourself describing your entire day, from morning to night, including your weekend. Try to use adverbs of frequency like always, usually, often, sometimes, never.
And remember, learning English is just like building a daily habit. A little bit every day makes a big difference.
We are so proud of you for listening all the way through. Thank you for joining us on episode 8 of the English Podcast Zone.
Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast with your friends, and keep practicing daily.
See you in the next episode.